You have 6 months to make as much money as possible. All you have to start with is a phone and $500 in cash. What are you doing? I am really good at sales. I'm gonna find a sales job. I am going to get that job and I'm gonna learn more about that industry than anybody on the planet. And I'm gonna set a commission as high as I possibly can. And 3 months in, when I've demonstrated that I am the best salesperson in the history of that company, I'm gonna walk into my boss's office and I'm gonna tell him, or her, you're either gonna pay me this amount of money to keep me, or I'm gonna start my own business. Everything always goes back to sales, no matter what.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I watch these videos every day because I need them for motivation. Being around successful entrepreneurs every morning helps me believe that I can do great things too. It's like your morning coffee, but for your goals, kickstarting your day with a blast of positivity. So here is a challenge for you. Try watching one video every morning for the next 30 days. And let's find out together if they help you do great things too. If you're in, leave a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can celebrate with you. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Mark Cuban, and our take on his top 10 rules of success. Believe. Rule number 2 is keep learning.
What makes a great entrepreneur? Somebody who's curious. They want to keep on learning because business is ever changing. It's never static. Somebody who's agile, because as you learn new things and the environment around you changes, you have to be able to adapt and make the changes. And somebody who can sell, because no business has ever survived without sales. And as an entrepreneur who's creating a company, whatever your product or service is, if that's not the most important thing and you're just dying and excited to tell people about it, then you're not going to succeed.
Rule number 3 is put in the time.
You got to be curious, right? You know, if there's something you had to learn the apparel industry.
Yes, sir.
How much time did you spend reading and learning and online and going through things and making mistakes? And that's the example,
yes,
right?
Sir.
So if you're out there, okay, I want to do this, this, and this, and this. Great. You just got to give it a shot.
Yes, sir.
There's no perfect approach. But one thing I will tell you, you got to be careful not to fall for all the online traps, like drop shipping. Like, you know, my son, like, look, Dad, look at this. They said you can make all this money. I'm like, Jake, let me just tell you something. If I had a great idea for drop shipping, you know the one thing I'm not going to do is tell everybody else, right? I'm going to do it myself and just kill it, right?
Yeah.
You know, if I've got this thing, you know, this magic approach for stocks, you think I'm going to tell everybody else who's going to go out buy the same stocks before I buy them or whatever? No, I'm just going to keep it myself and make all that money.
Right.
The great ideas people don't share. And when you came up with apparel, you went from, what are you doing wasting your time out with all these videos, right? Mm-hmm. You know, it's so stupid, right? Focus on bull riding, you know, focus on what you do. But you found out you had a knack for it. You had to try all these different things, and then you were curious and you had to learn how to edit. You had to deal with all the editing stuff. You had to learn all this technology that you had no idea about when you first got started, right? But you put in the time. And that's the key for anybody getting started. You can try 1,000 different things, but there are no shortcuts. You have to put in the time. And when you find something you love, then put in the time to be great at it.
Yes,
because
sir.
once you're great at something, whether it's apparel, whether it's bull riding, whether it's making videos, no one quits anything they're good at, you know, because it's fun and you can make money at it. And that's the difference.
Rule number 4 is help others.
How do you sell? What do you mean by selling?
Selling is just helping. I've always looked at it about putting myself in the shoes of another person and asking a simple question. Can I help this person? Can my product help them? From the time I was 12 years old, selling garbage bags door to door and just asking a simple question. Do you use garbage bags? Do you need garbage bags? Well, let me save you some time. I'll bring them to your house and drop them off. To, you know, streaming. Why do we need streaming when we have TV and radio? Well, you can't get access to your TV and radio everywhere you go. So we kind of break down geographic and physical barriers and, you know, cost plus drugs. You know, what's the product that we actually sell? We sell trust. In a simplistic approach, we buy drugs and sell drugs, but we add transparency to it. And bringing transparency to an industry is a differentiation, and it helps people.
Trust in an industry that's highly lacking in trust.
Exactly.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight our favorite lessons from the video that will inspire you to remember what you learned today and actually apply them. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5 is put in the effort.
Why do most businesses fail? Number 1, sales. No business has ever succeeded without sales, period, end of story. Number 2, preparation. When you go to start a business, have you done all the homework to know about your industry, your competition, your products, the profitability, your customer base, their demographics? You need to know these things. 3, effort. It is not easy starting and running a business. It's hard. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And 4, brains. You got to be smart. You got to learn this stuff. You got to put in the effort. You have to be curious in order to be successful at business. You do these 4 things, Blessin, and you'll be okay. Company doesn't do them, they're in deep trouble.
Rule number 6 is study the basics.
If you're going to have and run a business, if you don't understand accounting, you're already behind the 8 ball.
Can't you hire a guy that knows how to
But
run
then
accounting?
they still have to communicate to you, right? I mean, there's people that don't understand the concept of, the difference between profits and cash. Your accountant might tell you you're profitable, but your cash is going down. Not understanding a breakdown. And when you don't,
You think you need college to learn that?
yeah, I think you do, right? Because it may not, for some people, look, if you're so self-motivated that you can take an online course in accounting and teach yourself everything, you're way ahead of the game anyways. But most people aren't. And I'm not saying you have to go to Indiana. I'm not saying go to an expensive school. I don't care if you go to a community college and take accounting and spend $99 for the class. Just, spending the money forces you to be more obligated to do it. But accounting, finance, lesser extent marketing, sales, if the school offers that, these are all that's the language of business. And so while it's possible to teach yourself these things, and while it's possible to hire them, when you're starting your own company, you don't want to have to spend money hiring an accountant, right? You're already probably going to have to hire a lawyer to set up your. Well, let me take that. If you've gone through all these classes, you probably don't have to hire a lawyer to incorporate, right? You can probably figure out yourself. And so your cost of opening up a business drops. But even more important than all that, that's the blocking and tackling. That's the language of business. The thing I learned at Indiana that was more important than anything else, I learned how to learn. And learning became far more important to me, because the one certainty in business is that it's always going to be changing. If you're not always learning, to this minute, if I'm not continuously learning, if I'm not just absorbing as much as I can absorb, someone else is going to kick my ass.
Rule number 7 is be different.
Nobody ever really changed the world or changed an industry by just doing what everybody else is doing. And I always tried to look to see, even when I was a kid, it was like, okay, if this is the way everybody's doing it and everybody's just doing it because, how would I do it differently? Even when I opened up my bar, right, it was like, okay, they're playing this music, that music sucks. They're geared towards this type, and had a dance floor. Let's get rid of the dance floor. Let's put in drinks. Let's have, Nerf, we have Nerf basketball leagues and, just stuff that's dumb, but it was different, and by just trying things that may seem dumb and are different, you learn, how to break through and try new things, and that's just always worked well for me.
And it's not, especially in tech, you invest in companies, it's not incrementally better, right? It's, you don't want to be just a little better than the competition, because by the time you get out, they've already passed you.
Yeah, one of the big mistakes that entrepreneurs make is they lie to themselves all the time. So, whether it's on Shark Tank or it's investing in a company, people say, well, we're a better this than that, right? Well, whoever it is, if you're faster, cheaper, anything that ends in an S or an right, to describe why I should invest in you and why your company's going to be successful, whoever it is you're competing with isn't sitting there saying, yeah, we're That's just not the way it works. They're looking back and saying, okay, you may think that, but I'm not standing still. You may be trying to disrupt me, but I'm working to stay ahead of you. And so, to get into that type of grind just was never very appealing to me. And it's not to say I've never invested in a business that doesn't have some Me Too elements, but I always tried to have a vision of how you can be completely different or how you can turn it upside down.
Rule number 8 is stay ahead.
How do you identify what's next?
I just read a lot, right? I'm just one of those guys that just consumes information.
On what, the internet or where?
Everything. Yeah, everything, anywhere I can get it. I just try to learn.
And you've always been this way.
Yeah. I've always been like a knowledge geek where it mostly tech, but it could be anything. Anything business related, technology related, marketing related, culture related. I want to try to stay on top of it. Steve Jobs had this one quote that really stuck with me. He said, everything's a remix. And if you look at the early days of the Apple products, there was this company back in the day called Xerox PARC. And Xerox came out with the first mouse-driven PC. But their marketing sucked. And they had no idea what they were doing. No one knew what they were about. Steve Jobs came in, a little bit of this, a little bit, remixed, and bam, right? All of a sudden you got Apple and then a Macintosh and then
he made it sexier.
Yeah. And then even he got fired, right? He got fired from that company and then they had to bring him back to make it work. And so, for me, the more you learn, the more you know how to remix. And that's what this is all about. So, how do you go from YouTube, which was the first platform for video that got big, to Instagram, to Snapchat, and know, okay, do I want to be on Discover? Do I want to be on Reels? Do I want to be on TikTok? And if I do this, how's YouTube going to treat me? And all the decisions you guys have got to make on a daily basis. And the fact that, like we were just talking, you created all these products and you want it to be organic. That's a business decision too. And then you have to learn by trial and error, right? You were curious about what might work. Obviously you're walking proof of what does work, right? And now you've got to be able to continue to make those decisions, because in this business with all the margins on these products, everybody's coming at you all the time, right?
Yeah.
And they think they can do the exact same thing, but it's not that easy. But for me, it's like, that's why I try to stay ahead, because whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's VR, whether it's crypto, whether it's metaverse, all these things may not be prime time yet, but I want to know when they will be, and I want to be out front when they are.
Rule number 9 is re-earn your customers.
You've always had this intense focus on customers, no matter the size of the business.
Right.
What does the meaning of a customer in the digital world, a user, mean to you now?
It means the same thing. They own your ass. There has never been a business that has survived without customers, and someone's got to pay the bills, and whoever's paying the bills, I'm putting the knee pads on and whatever they need. That's just the way business works. And if I create a scenario where they feel like they're getting great value, and then I'm going to have a good business. And I have a saying that you have to re-earn your customer's business every single day, and I try to. No matter what the business, no matter what position I'm in, no matter how big or small. Because, if your customers leave, what do you have left?
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is follow your curiosity.
Michael Jordan had the body, he had the temperament of a champion, so he goes into sports. Do you think they call that bounded rationality? Instead of saying, I could be every possible thing in the world, you kind of limit it and say, all right, I'm more of a math guy. I'm more of a people person. And then you try to find your destiny within that.
Well, I think they go hand in hand, right? Because the type of person you are, kind of points to the things you're good at. Are you 12? You're not going to know. Are you 16? You're not going to know. If you're 18, maybe if you have a special talent, right? You can throw a baseball 100 miles an hour. You can sing and your voice is incredible. You're a concert pianist. You're a chess grandmaster. If you have a specific skill set or talent that just immediately propels you to the top, you want to follow that. Yeah. But I remember having a list. I still have it. When I graduated from college, I was getting ready to graduate, and all the different industries that I thought I might want to partake in. When you find something you're good at, go for it. Yeah. And I also always say it's not about passion. Everybody's got passion for something, right? Don't follow your passions, follow your efforts. Because people say, I was passionate to play baseball. I was passionate to play basketball. Doesn't mean all of a sudden I was going to be good enough. But I found myself being really curious about business, being really curious about technology. And that curiosity is really what drove me. And I think, particularly if you're young today, curiosity is great. Always learning and trying to find new things and being curious about new things, because that's what leads you to that path. Trying to figure out in advance, that's hard because you don't know what you don't know.
We're partnering with a lot of independent pharmacies so that we won't just be mail order, and we'll start a test on that March 1st. And the goal is, again, to allow patients to get their medications how, where, when they want them at a price they can afford.
So do you think that basic model of a transparent set markup works for branded drugs?
Yes, absolutely. You guys know selling, manufacturing and selling generics, the distortions you face with PBMs and insurance companies. The fact that an insurance company wants you to price your generic at even sometimes above a brand price is insane. It is just absolutely freaking insane. And we're just going to say, "F that, sorry," there's just not going to happen. And it's not about the patients anymore. And so you've got these big companies that are vertically integrated that have hundreds of subsidiaries that play left pocket, right pocket. We're going to be an accumulator. We're going to be the switch. We're going to be this. And they take a little piece here and there. And then they do everything they can to distort the information chain, right? We're not giving you your own data about your own the drug you manufacture. So for brands, there are so many games that have to be played unless you have, a unique drug like Keytruda, like we were talking. Otherwise, you're at the mercy. And what's happening is the PBMs in particular have done a phenomenal job of demonizing Teva, all the manufacturers, generic and brand. Now every patient in the world thinks you guys are the bad guys. Brand manufacturers, they're the bad guys. That's wrong. Not that they're, harmless, and not that they always do things right, but it's just wrong that you've been demonized like that. That's why transparency is so important, because no patient is trying to find the net effective drug price that you're being paid to say who's the bad person in all of this. They just want to know what their cost is, what their availability is, and what hoops they have to go through. Well, now you just look it up, brand or generic, on costplusdrugs.com. You know what our cost is. 2, it's not the manufacturer that's creating the problem, because here's the price that they're selling to Cost Plus at. And so for a brand name, it's even worse for them than it is for you. And so we want to solve that problem. And then in terms of support that the patient gets with hubs, the games that are paid, just to get information back is insane. It's like people forgot about the patient. We want to make it easier for you, brand manufacturers, to be able to say to anybody that comes to you, go to Cost Plus Drugs, you see what they're paying us, you see that this is the right price, and you can trust it. Because that really is our biggest product. That's what we truly sell at Cost Plus Drugs, and that's trust.
For 10 more amazing rules from Jeff Bezos, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Think about the things that are not going to change over 10 years. And those are probably the big things. So like, I know our retail business at Amazon, 10 years from now, customers are still going to want low prices. I know they're still going to want fast delivery. And I just know they're still going to want